Images from the James Webb Space Telescope of the Southern Ring Nebula, also known as planetary nebula NGC 3132, were recently photographed, and this made astronomers want to delve deeper into more details of this object. And as you learn more about it, you'll discover that it is truly a mind-blower. The space-based observatory's initial photographs have finally been released by NASA. These photos have been decades in the making and are a result of several setbacks and overspent expenditures. But they do not let you down. With this latest discovery, researchers will be able to learn more about this entity if they can determine which chemicals are there and where they are distributed across the shells of gas and dust. So, here's everything we need to explore on the Southern Ring Nebula as taken by NASA's JWST. You're in the depths of endless space with Space Infinity. The Southern Ring Nebula. The Southern Ring Nebula, or 8-burst nebula, NGC 3132, is a planetary nebula located in the southern constellation Vela, around 2,000 light-years away. It is visible with amateur telescopes and has an apparent brightness of 9.87 and an apparent size of 62 by 43 arcseconds. The nebula was one of the James Webb Space Telescope's initial objectives in 2022. Because of its similarity to the more well-known Ring Nebula, or Messier 57, in the northern constellation Lyra, NGC 3132 has been named the Southern Ring Nebula. The nebula's appearance, which in some telescopes resembles the number 8, gave rise to the name 8-burst nebula. Moreover, the Southern Ring Nebula is listed as Caldwell 74 in the Caldwell Catalog of Deep Sky Objects viewable in amateur telescopes and as NGC 3132 in the New General Catalog. Planetary nebulae are the last stage of the evolution of intermediate mass stars before they become red giants and depart from the main sequence. The stars periodically release layers of material during the late red giant phase, eventually becoming encircled by enormous shells of gas and dust. The hot stellar cores that are revealed, which are the remains of the central stars, ionize these shells. In around 6 billion years, our Sun will experience the same fate. Other planetary nebulae, as well as the Southern Ring Nebula, are essentially the expelled outer layers of evolved stars that have reached the end of their lifetimes. They are known as planetary nebulae because, when viewed through a telescope, their circular form resembles that of a planet. However, there is no connection between the nebulae and planets. Although it's unclear where the phrase planetary nebula first appeared, it was in use before the 19th century. Planetary nebulae are a transient phenomenon. They only persist for roughly 10,000 years before the primary stars cool sufficiently for the surrounding nebulosity to go dark for us. Only a few thousand years will pass before the Southern Ring Nebula disappears. Carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, among other elements, are recycled into the surrounding space by planetary nebulae. They might be utilized to create new planets and stars. These conditions tend to produce new generations of stars with higher metallicities. Metals, despite being present in relatively modest levels, have a significant impact on their evolution. The Southern Ring Nebula is 0.4 light-years in diameter. When an old star blew off its outer layers, leaving behind a scorching remnant core, it generated the expanding cloud of gas. Over thousands of years, the central star periodically released shells of gas and dust in all directions. The incandescent gas that was ejected now makes up the planetary nebula. The expanding shell is ionized by the ultraviolet radiation of the central star, giving off the appearance of a nebula with vivid colors. The white dwarf's surface is roughly 100,000 Kelvin hot. The gas in the nebula is being heated by the weak star's scorching surface. A nearby companion of 10th magnitude orbits the primary star. The partner has not yet reached the end of its existence, but when it does, it will probably give birth to a planetary nebula of its own. The 16th magnitude star that makes up the planetary nebula nucleus is itself. The outer layers of the nebula are illuminated by both stars. At a rate of 9 miles per second, the gas being ejected is expanding away from the center white dwarf. The coolest gas is found at the edge of the nebula, which is the furthest away from the star in its center. The hottest gas is found in the interior. The James Webb Space Telescope. Approximately 1 million miles, or 1.5 million kilometers from Earth, the James Webb Space Telescope has reached its goal. From here, the telescope will orbit Lagrange Point 2, or L2, which is on the other side of the planet from the Sun. With this orbit, Webb can keep its position in relation to Earth while simultaneously keeping a safe distance from the Sun, Earth, and Moon's intense lights. The largest, most potent, and most intricate space telescope ever created and deployed into orbit is the James Webb Space Telescope. Communities around the United States and overseas are able to witness the Webb Space Telescope's first photos thanks to NASA and its partners. Community organizations are invited by NASA and its partners to a celebration of the James Webb Space Telescope's first photographs. The goal of this NASA initiative is to foster future generations of science enthusiasts, including underserved audiences, through long-term, meaningful engagement with Webb's discoveries. Webb is the most audacious scientific endeavor to understand the nature of the universe. It has reached its orbit point 1 million miles from Earth, and in July 2022, when it sends its first images back to Earth. NASA's Webb telescope snaps Southern Ring Nebula with 2 instruments. 5 infrared photos of 5 different astronomical objects from the universe have been made public by the James Webb Telescope as part of the launch of the telescope. Earlier, NASA released photographs that included, among other things, an exoplanet with a watery atmosphere and a dying star inside a nebula that is ejecting clouds of gas and dust into space. 2 Webb telescopes were used to take pictures of the fading star, while each of the 5 objects has been studied in the greatest detail ever. The Southern Ring Nebula was spotted separately by the near-infrared camera, NIRCam, and the mid-infrared instrument on the Webb Space Telescope, MIRI. The star of the nebula and its layers of light are more clearly visible in the image on the left, which was created using the NIRCam. However, the image on the right, which was taken with MIRI, showed for the first time that the dying star is shrouded in dust. The near-infrared spectrograph, NIRSpec, and the fine guidance sensor near-infrared imager and slitless spectrograph, FGS NIRIS, are the telescope's other 2 instruments. According to NASA, the nebula's several fragile gaseous layers will evaporate into the surrounding space over the course of the next few thousand years. Notably, although this southern ring has been designated a planetary nebula, it only contains the outer layers of gas and dust that dying sun-like stars have shed. It's interesting to note that NASA also released a photograph of the same nebula that was obtained in 1998 by the Hubble Space Telescope. Southern Ring Nebula demonstrates the stunning beauty of the universe. Understanding what the JWST photographs represent enhances how gorgeous they are. According to astronomer and astrophotographer Pete Lawrence, they demonstrate exactly how amazing the telescope, the modern marvel, is. According to Lawrence, "I remember when Hubble's refined photographs started to show, exposing detail which felt like peeling off a layer of indistinctness from what had been shot before. JWST has now improved upon it and done it once more. The level of detail and finesse in this image is frankly astonishing, especially when compared with what came before. Much of modern science is about analyzing data, but the sheer visual beauty of this image also delivers clear insight into what is happening here," said the author of NGC 3132, The Southern Ring. The Southern Ring Nebula, or NGC 3132 image, depicts gas and dust being ejected by a dying star. The beautiful colors of the nebula are produced by these waves of molecules and particles. Even our own star, the Sun, will finish with a nebula similar to this in most dying stars' final moments. Many are equally enthused about observations that will be made of objects far closer to us, even though these first JWST photographs show galaxies that are billions of light years away from us. Most probably, the future generation of astronomers might need to take biology classes as well. A lot of individuals would like to know more about planets orbiting neighboring stars. How many are covered in water? How many might even, via their spectrum, offer evidence for life? So what are your thoughts on this matter? Let us know what you think in the comments. For more into the depths of the eternal space, follow the protocol. Like this video, share this video, make sure you're subscribed, and head to the Space Infinity video archives.